two things were happening. Me and her were bonding, but also the Lord was softening my heart. And so that's what the dog's been. And so she's been on my hip. She's been my shop dog. She goes with me to work every single day, especially when she was a little puppy. And then now she's 9 years old now, this Christmas, approximately.
Nice.
I'm not sure, but yes, around 9 years old. And so when I came to the auto barn, I was able to bring my dog and I was able to bring my dad. So it worked out pretty good. Yeah. And so, yeah, she listens very well. She's, she's still a pit bull. She got some pit in her. You got to watch her. But for the most part, the more I expose her to dogs, the more I expose her to people. And the auto barn's been a blessing with that because people walk in with all kinds of different pets, and she's really friendly with all of them. So she's kind of became the mascot.
Welcome back to Faith Family Cars Podcast.
Today we are in Ephesians chapter 6, verse 12, which says, "For we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the cosmic powers over this present darkness, against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly places."
All right, guys, we got Matt with Greasy Corner Garage with us today. Matt, it is awesome to have you on with us.
Man, I appreciate y'all having me on here. It's my privilege, for sure.
Well, we've been talking about this for a little while. We finally got a date set and got you on here. But, hey, we got to hang out back in October at Eddie's place and got to know each other a little bit better, and that was good, too. So, in my eyes, what I have known you as, since Eddie told me who you were, is the Foxbody guy. And, you got the little paw print on your logo on your shirt there. Tell us a little bit about that.
So, we specialize in Foxbody chassis cars, going back to 78 with the Fairmont and the Zephyr. My father has a 78 Mercury Zephyr Z7 that's been completely redone. It's a street strip drag car with a big block Ford. It's fully electronic, Holly Dominator, EFI. And then I have a 78 Ford Fairmont Futura with a 347 stroker, and it's all mechanical. So kind of the yin and the yang. His is restored. Looks like see it there in the back. It's like a pretty black piano, and then mine's an old rust bucket with the just with no carpet and just old rough old car that I bought for $600. But the Fairmonts have been kind of taken over. Their people are they're worth a lot more money now than they were.
Yeah.
And so with the two cars, we were trying to move that direction. There's a lot of guys out there, a lot of Mustang guys, and a lot of guys that are my age into them. They can afford to fix them. They can afford to hot rod them now. So kind of geared the apparel towards that. And the whole thing with the Fox paw, and then on the back it says Codename Fox, is that around Ford, and they never trademarked it. The whispers were it was Codename Fox. And that was the I think in 74, 76, they started working on that, and they started copying the Audi Fox. They started coming up with the McPherson strut system in the front, suspension system, and trying to, the gas crisis, making cars light. So the 78 model Zephyr and Fairmont are 400 pounds lighter than a Mustang. So even if I got the same power, we're faster because we're lighter. And so that was the beginning of it, and that's where we kind of went that direction, and trying to brand that and trying to just be the Foxbody guys. We've worked on a few, we've restored a couple, and so that's been the kind of the beginning of Greasy Corner Garage, really moving into the hot rod world, the performance world, and doing performance jobs and whatnot.
Well, and your guys' cars were hits at Foxtoberfest here recently too, weren't they?
Yeah, I think I took mine there before Dad's car was finished, and it had the old 6-cylinder in it, and it just had some wheels, and I chopped the springs on it, and I got a choice award, which was amazing. Somebody actually, they give certain people that go out and make a decision, and pick the car that they would like. So somebody picked my car, and then the next year we got Dad's car finished, so we debuted it at Foxtoberfest. So Foxtoberfest with Foxy Events has kind of been our gig. It's kind of we always show up and always kind of try to show out. And the last couple of years, me and Dad have been able to go together, both of our cars, and it's been a really, really good time. Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah. So with Foxtoberfest, that's down near Concord area, right?
Yeah, at Charlotte Motor Speedway.
Yeah.
It is the
Okay.
biggest Foxbody show in the world. They had 984 cars this last
Man.
one. The
Man.
first one I think was four something, and they went to 750, and that's only 70. Well, in Mustangs that's 79 to 94. Our cars are 78s, and they're still Fox bodies. They were the first ones, you know. So, but if they would unlock, and that's a big argument right now, but if they would unlock up to '02, the
Yeah.
cars only changed a 2 inch.
04 actually.
You know, was it? Oh yeah, '04. You're
Yeah,
right.
04.
You are correct. Stand corrected.
That's
So
all right.
yeah, they only
So-
made them a little wider, you know.
Yeah.
So
so
they're really Fox bodies that have been just changed a little bit, you know.
yeah, and so I got a little bit beef about that because whenever I was planning a trip for me and my wife to come down to visit Eddie and you guys and meet you and everything, we were talking about what weekend we're going to come. And so,
Yeah.
are we going to come down for C10 Fall Revival, or are we going to come down for Foxtoberfest? So I got to reading all the rules about Foxtoberfest because I was thinking, well, we'll ride down in the Cobra and go to Foxtoberfest and put our car in it. And yeah, I start reading the
Yeah.
rules and I'm like, they don't include SN95s. I mean, those are Fox
Right.
bodies. They are Fox
I've
bodies.
owned
Yes,
4 SN95s. It's literally an overweight Fox body is all it is.
Yeah.
It's all it is.
When you look under, when you look at
Absolutely.
it,
Yeah.
it is wider, but
I mean, yeah, but not much. I
the
mean,
whole
I
front
look.
suspension's
I've
the
been in
same.
an S95 and I've been under a Fox body. There's not a lot different.
No.
It's not too different.
So yeah, so after I read the rules, I was like, you know what? We're just gonna come down to Fall Revival and check it out because I've heard it's pretty awesome too. So that's what we did. But
Yeah.
you know,
It's a lot bigger show. Yeah, there's a huge C10 following.
yeah,
And that show opens up the door for all the Chevrolet trucks, right? I'm not sure about what
Oh, it
years they
does.
are, but
I think the newest ones I saw were the new body style. So like '01, '02 was the newest trucks I saw there. But
Okay.
they
Okay.
it was mostly square bodies and OBSs, of course. You know, I mean that's mostly what you're
Yeah.
going to see at those. But which, you know, I would love to come to Foxtoberfest. I've watched it online for years, and then I thought they included SN95s, and then when I read that, I was like, you gotta be kidding me.
I'll tell you what, if they
Yeah.
started including them, those numbers would go
Yeah,
way up
Yeah,
because
Oh, yeah,
people like
yeah.
me who have owned 4 SN95s because Fox bodies are too expensive would be able to come to something
Right.
like that. So, you know, and
Well, I
there's
did
a lot of people my age that I know would have a lot of. There's a ton of S95s around where we live,
right. There is a ton,
whole lot.
but they were slow,
Yeah.
and even
Well, I mean, okay. Well, a 79 Fox body's slow too.
it is
It's like 140 horsepower.
right.
But
Yeah.
the S95 was only 200 horsepower, and then when you went to the 4.6, it was 215, and then when you went to the later years of the 4.6, it was still only like 220.
Yeah,
So it's still a really slow car.
with all that added weight.
Yeah, exactly. You know, they were not fast.
Yeah.
They're not fast cars.
So you mentioned your Fairmont. You mentioned your dad's Zephyr. Why don't you get into a little bit about your dad's Zephyr because I know it's pretty special.
So yeah, that was a car that I acquired. We were running a rollback at the time, and we were going to crush it. A guy sold it to me for I think a couple $100, and I set it to the side, and just kind of a rainy day kind of thing. Well, Dad knew what it was, and I didn't even realize what it was, and so he wanted the car, and then as we get in a little bit later on into my story, he received the car before I went away, and then while I was gone, he started stripping it down, tearing it apart. Now the car was a good car. The car had all the interior in it, had all the glass in it. The kid that drove it, I think he just threw a rod in it, so the motor was junk. But for the most part, it had all the moldings, had all the trim, and it was the Z7. It was kind of special. It was the V8 car.
Yeah.
It was the 4 in the floor. It had the bucket seats. It had the right steering. You know. So, but he redid all that, took it all the way down, put a 8.5 cage in it. Was building it for a naturally aspirated, and since he worked in NASCAR, he retired from Hendrick Motorsports as a body hanger. He had a lot of NASCAR influence, and so he built a naturally aspirated big block Ford for it, because there's nothing on the planet that sounds like a big block Ford.
Right.
You know, a 460 base. It's not a FE. And so built that car and painted it. We painted it in the shop, dropped plastic, and it turned out pretty nice. And then then later on, the motor ended up failing. It was leaving actually Ray Evernham's car show, and the motor failed. We lost a rocker. I think it was a roller. Anyway, had the motor rebuilt. Our engine builder had a stroke a couple weeks before that and didn't tell anybody. So he messed up some of the oil galleys and kind of messed up some stuff in there on the, you know, with the oiling. There, I think there's certain ones you got to cap and you got to restrict. We rebuilt the car again. And so had the motor rebuilt. So after we lost it on the dyno, so that guy had a stroke, didn't tell nobody. We lost it on the dyno. And then we basically just tried to recoup the parts and start it over again. So that's where he went with a dark block, ordered a Pro Charger for it, and really trying to make some big horsepower.
Yeah.
And so this time putting it back together. And Keith Dorton and Jeff Dorton at Automotive Specialists built the motor. They're renowned engine builders, race engine builders. And so we put I'm going to get it wrong since I'm on the spot right now, but put a Pro Charger on it. I think it's a FA94, F194, either or. And then put Dominator fuel injection on it, Holley fuel injection, and the car makes 1400 and 1150 pounds of torque. And all those, and the videos are all on my YouTube channel, you know, but the car runs mid fives in the eighth and about mid nines in the quarter. And we've ran it at Z Max, and it's a street car. It's got a tag on it.
Yeah.
But they always check him for all of his fire and, you know, all of his, you know, make sure he has all the right safety equipment.
Right.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So,
it is.
yeah, that's kind of the story on the car. And, you know, so our first year of getting it done, that's when we kind of started the YouTube channel, really trying to debut the car. And so I recorded everywhere we took it, in every car show, just kind of doing walk along, you know, ride-alongs and you know, car show walkthroughs.
Right.
And that's kind of the start of it.
Let's talk about your blue Futura, because when I look at Fairmonts, yeah, I like the little sedan looking Fairmonts, but the Futuras have just got that clean, almost fastback looking style to them. The Thunderbirds had a very similar back window style to them. But I also love the color of yours. And you just said earlier you picked it up for $600.
Yeah, so it was at the local Ford dealership. An older lady traded it in on a new car, and it seemed like she tried to do some work to it. It had a really bad exhaust manifold leak, and it had a brand new gas tank in it. So yeah, seen it, and it had a sign on it that said "not for sale." But you know, I went there and talked to the guy, and was like, "Hey," and he said, "I'll sell it to you for $1, but there's going to be $500 processing fee." Or no, it was $100, yeah, and then the $500 processing fee. So I said, "Yeah, that's a no-brainer." So I didn't even tow it to the house because we didn't live but just a few blocks up the road. So I fired it up with the exhaust leak, and I think it had a coolant leak too, and kind of limped it to the house, and then it sat in the backyard for a while. But as we were building Dad's car, and you know, it was a long process. My engine builder, I got hooked up with Automotive Specialists, started doing work for them, and they talked me into building the motor. And they were like, "Hey, you know, we'll do it on payments. You know, if you can, you know, just kind of come up with some parts here and there, and we'll kind of use it as filler work." So that's what I ended up doing, was building a 347. So I found a 78 F100 chassis that had the motor, transmission in it, and the 9-inch Ford. I still got the 9-inch Ford. But I took that motor out, and since it all matched the same year, I thought, well, that'd be perfect, you know. All the accessories will bolt right on. It'll just be good. But that's that's not a roller block. So they had to adapt it with the little spider setup and convert it to a roller setup. But over about 3 years of paying payments on the motor, bringing in parts, I was trading out stuff with people, and we got some X302 heads and scat crank and rods, and then we had, I think, Keith Black pistons made for it. And the guy that I got the heads from races Trans Am. He works for the Dyson team, and he's their main engine builder. So it's got a 5-angle valve job, and the heads are port matched to the intake. And it was all stuff that he had on some other build that the guy changed his mind, and he ended up putting it on the shelf. So got some really good parts in the car. It's got Ford Motorsports rocker arms, and I'm trying to think. It's got dual valve springs on it, the little honeycomb deal. So it's pretty top notch. And then we went to Ohio, the big Ford swap meet, and I found a 7.5 limited slip differential. I didn't want to change out the rear end, and I bought a limited slip differential from a guy that drag races Pintos, and he's like, man, I got 650 horsepower, and I launch it at 6,000 RPM, and I've never broke one. So it kind of got me away from the 8.8 thing of switching everything. So got that. We went through the transmission, just put a shift kit in it. She's got a C4 in it, and got a 3,000 stall converter. I found some long tube headers up there, and I've still been playing with some old carburetors. I like taking old carburetors and revising them and bringing them back to life, and it gives me a place to learn and tinker and play with stuff. So I've got a Generation 3 Holly that I'm still fine tuning a little bit, but it dynoed with 450. It was like 447 horsepower and 438 pounds of torque. I think exactly. I had to go back and look at my YouTube to see what the exact numbers. I usually tell people 450 and 450 because now it's broke in. It probably is making 450.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But for a car that weighs 2,400 pounds with me in it, it's plenty. It's plenty. And it's got a 308 gear. So it rolls pretty good down the interstate. It hums. It's 3,200 RPM at about 70. But it sure is a fun car, and it's not a beautiful car, so you don't have to worry about parking it in the parking lot. It's got dents, it's got scratches, so it's not like having a showpiece when you're riding around. You can actually drive it. It's got hydraulic lifters, so you can crank it up and you can cruise in it. I drove it to Maggie Valley for a car show, and then drove it back, in the same day. So that was a good bit of mileage, and it was a good test run on it just to make sure everything on it was good.
So did you get the radiator replaced from Foxtoberfest?
So I've got it on the shelf over there. So so you kind of called me out on it. There was a few things I skimped when I built the car. I left the inline 6-cylinder radiator in it, and then I bought $79, $89 Summit distributor for it. And I forgot what else. I borrowed a carburetor. So those few things. So here, just in the last few weeks, I've got an LMR, I think it's a double pass radiator. It's 2 inches thick for a V8, 79 Mustang. And then I got
that's what's in our
got
Cobra,
my engine
by the
builder
way.
to give me.
I was about to say, I think that's what's in the Cobra.
Oh yeah.
Yep. Same one.
So I ordered the black one, and they sent me the silver one, but I'm not going to complain about it. It's okay.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
gonna
what we
take what I
put in
can
as the
get.
black one.
Yeah, I got the black one in the Cobra now.
Yeah.
It works really well. It keeps the car very cool, and I mean, I would say almost too cool, but it's honestly probably right where it needs to be.
Yeah.
It's fairly cool.
But the whole reason I put it in there is because I wanted it to stay cool on Power Tour. And so I thought I'm going to upgrade the cooling system. So put that radiator in it, and it changed the temperature 10 degrees.
Yeah.
Easy.
Wow.
Now the car just gets hot all the time.
Well, that's because it's got other issues.
Yeah, it's got other issues. I got to fix it.
Yeah. We think it's got an intake gasket
Yeah,
leak.
I think because it keeps getting air bubbles in the cooling system, and I have to burp it. And it has progressively gotten worse because I started driving the car more. It used to, you could burp it and get all the air out of it every 2 to 3 weeks and then drive it.
When I had it, it was like every 2-3 months.
Yeah, but I was driving it like daily.
Yeah.
But then driving it daily made it where it was getting air pockets in it like every 2 days. So I had to stop driving it. And gotta get that fixed.
Yep. So you have your shop set up at Auto Barn. Is that right?
Sir.
That's where you
sir.
work out of, Auto Barn?
Yep.
Okay. So where's Auto Barn located at?
So autobarnclassiccars.com. They're in 320 Sign Drive, Concord, North Carolina, and it's a old cotton mill. It's where they made sheets. It's part of the Cannon Mills that was in Kannapolis. It's plant 6 of that huge, it used to be the biggest plant that produced sheets and towels, I think, in the world at one point, where they had their own fire department and had their own, it was a big place.
Oh, yeah.
So so the owners bought it. It was an old rundown mill, and they've converted it. So the front of it has a big antique mall in it, just 500,000 square feet or something crazy. And then there's a food market. You know how they like to have all these little food vendor type places. So yeah, it's got a food market in it. And then the owners of it, they're car guys. So they opened up a consignment, antique, classic, hot rod consignment, dealership. And so they always, they've been here 20 years. So
Yeah.
they've always tried to keep a mechanic. They got a upholstery shop in there. They have a detailer, and they tried hiring their own mechanics, putting them on payroll, that kind of thing. And then this is the first time they've actually tried to, let's just rent to someone that's already doing this, and rent them a space back in this location, and see how that works out. So we're a year into it now. I moved in here last January, and it's probably been the best year I've had so far, financially, and mentally it's been a little stressful just trying to learn new things. But so I end up doing all their pre-consignment inspections. So when the cars come in on consignment, I check them out and just kind of give them a list, give them an estimate, see if the customer wants to fix it, and then I let them figure out the money part about how much we're going to sell it for, how much profit's involved, all that fun stuff.
Yeah.
I just try to fix them right, and a lot of times, we're focusing on safety things and that kind of stuff, but that's opened the door for all kinds of different kind of cars, from Jaguars and little Triumphs and Porsches and Mercedes, and all different year range from 60s to the 90s, and then obviously all the American classic cars, from Challengers that are like behind me to Mustangs, and all of Camaros. There's a ton of Camaros come through here, T-Bird. So it's really gave me a vast, where I've learned a lot of things about SU carburetors and British stuff and how they do things. And I already had a little bit of Swedish, Volvo stuff going on. So, it's really opened up, the doors to a lot of different work and, a lot of different cars. But the thing is, now I don't have a paint booth. Now I don't have a dirty room like I used to have. So we're mainly focusing on drivability issues. And, which is funny. That's how I started in the dealership. I was a drivability specialist. So, anything that, affects you directly, your brake pedal, your steering wheel, your AC, that kind of stuff, turn signals, lights. So now we're just doing a lot of mechanic work. We're doing a lot of drivability stuff, but so it's gave me a specialty. It's gave me a niche where I can take the gifts that God give me, and I can be an honest mechanic and do things right. And so now I've got a client base where I got my own customers that come in from before and from now, and I think everything's about relationships. I think if I can build a good relationship with a man and be honest with him, be straight with him, even when I don't know something, we'll call in a specialist. We had a guy come in, work on a 57 Bel Air, Chevrolet Bel Air, they call him a Fuelie. It's got the Corvette fuel injection on it from the factory. There's only 5 of them in the, on the East Coast. These guys and this guy was 85 years old. So they're not, these guys are dying off. And so he came up here and worked on that thing and made a good bit of money on the car just redoing that system. But I sat around him and just soaked him up like a sponge. And he was a Baptist too, so he was a hardcore believer. And so, we had a good time,
Yeah.
So, man, the people I meet around here is it's a blessing. It really is. There's some hard days, but man.
I know watching your videos, because you'll do little videos of different cars that come in and stuff. And if our listeners don't follow you, you need to follow him on Instagram at Greasy Corner Garage, because you post all these little videos, Matt. That here recently you had one that really stuck out to me, and it's because there was something about it that I never knew, and it was a 32 Ford Deuce Coupe, and you mentioned in your little video that the rear window rolls down. And it was a 5-window car, and I was like, man, I had no idea. How many of those cars have I looked at and never realized that the rear window rolls down? To me, that was just something that was really cool. So you run into all kinds of stuff like that, don't you?
Yeah. That car was a 1950s build out in California, and
Dang.
and it, it needed the clutch replaced. So it was you got to pull the whole motor out, and the bell housings actually built onto the block. So
Mm.
I learned some things, and I got to contact some really old guys that knew about those cars, and just ask them, where do I get a clutch at? Where do I get it? Like, how do you do this and how do you do that, and what special tools? And the oil pan gasket, you got to take the oil pan off, and there is no oil filter or nothing. So there's three pieces to the oil pan gasket, but there was a lot of little things, but that's the fun part.
Yeah.
Is working on cars like that have nostalgic parts on them that you can't buy. The heads were from 1935, and the two carburetor setup, I think they were like 94s or whatever. Can't remember the name of it, but all the stuff was from 1935. So some of the first hot rod and stuff, and that car, I tried to get it to drive as good as I could get it, but it still felt like driving a tractor on the street.
Okay.
It was all over the place, and I got it as tight as I could with the steering gear and with, all the different components, but
Yeah. I mean, it looked really
it don't
cool.
need but 80 horsepaur.
Right.
It don't need any more. It might hurt you.
All right. So, what's one of the most rare cars, or one of the car that you've had come through that you just like the most?
So my favorite was let me get it right. It was a 61 AC Greyhound. So it was the same company that made the AC Cobra that gave them the Carroll Shelby to do his little deal with the 289s and all that. Well, back over in Britain, they were still making four-seaters. It was still a two-door, but it was a four-seater, and they called it a Greyhound. So it had a little hatchback. The car was silver. It really looked like an Aston Martin DB5. And the car was silver with red interior, and the owner, it was their dad's. And there's some wealthy family from Mooresville, a wealthy side of town over here. And they took it and spent $300,000 on the restoration. So it's a concourse level, Pebble Beach type car. Yeah. And the builder, it was in Virginia, up, I guess y'all's way, and did a phenomenal job. Had a big old stack of papers with it. It had two sheets of paper that was the starting procedure for it, where it was right. It was a really beautiful car. And I couldn't find a flaw in it, but it was just being stored here. It wasn't on consignment. They were storing it here. Because the Auto Barn, that's why I left out earlier. The Auto Barn also stores cars. They have the back behind my shop here is a full storage facility. And so, where they have monthly, storage. So the car was stored here, but that car was, they picked it up and actually took it to a museum, and we're going to show it, and I guess get some free storage.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I just had to look that car up
because
I had to look it up. I've never heard of that before, and it does look just like a DB5, identical to a DB5.
Yeah, very similar. It's even got the flip-up tag in the back, where you can change the tag from inside the car. It's got a glass cover.
That's cool.
That's where James Bond and them had the little thing where it would flip to the different tag, So, but I did a video on it as well. That's part of my, what are we working on today? I've been trying to implement some cars that are rare like that and do a walkover, and then kind of just, spit out some stats on it and different things on it, and just let people check them out,
Yeah, that'll get people's attention for sure. I mean, like I said, I've never heard of that car before, but that's definitely something I would be interested in. That's so cool.
Yeah, it's very cool. So guys, y'all need to check out his Instagrams. Sure. He's always posting stuff like that all the time. I mean, he just posted early 90s Supra the other day, twin turbo Supra. That's
a Mark IV, wasn't it?
Yeah, the engine's all still factory original. So that's pretty wild. Hasn't been turned into a tuner car.
Or a race car. No. Have you seen the Super race cars? They're insane.
Yeah.
Those 2Js are like competing with like top of the line V8s.
Yeah.
So like at World Cup, there was 2Js competing with a Proline Hemi, like Cletus McFarlane had in his. Yeah, I mean the 2Js are insane.
So Matt, we met you, like I said earlier, through Eddie Papp, and Eddie's a good friend to us. So how did you and Eddie meet?
So I met Eddie at the Refuge. That is a church that is here in Concord, Kannapolis, North Carolina. And I think at the time he was, because there was multiple campuses, but I think he started coming down to the main campus where I was at, and that's where I bumped into him. And he was doing social media stuff, and we kind of clicked because we're both car guys. and I was really fascinated with the social media stuff. I hadn't really launched anything on my own, and he's been really the inspiration behind that. He's like, Matt, all the stuff's there. You just need to record yourself. And I was, it's like, I ain't the kind of guy to be in front of a camera. I'm not the kind of guy that wants to walk around. I'm not real boastful like that. And as the Lord's been really shifting my heart, it says if a man's going to boast, boast in the Lord, not in his might, not in his riches, so I felt weird about it. But at the same time, the internet is God's domain too. He runs it all. It's
That's
all
right.
his. So I think that, like we're doing here, I think that there's places for us, as they call it in church ministry, for us to reach and love on other people. So Eddie's been the backbone of that. And I was inspired by his, Brick Rod Garage and how it kind of moved and changed from the Legos. It grew with his son.
Right.
That's what it was about. It wasn't about the internet. It wasn't about Eddie. It was about him and his son doing things together. And that's something I lacked when I was, his son's age.
Yeah.
So, I really admire and respect Eddie as a man of God, as a father, and as a pastor,
Right.
So he's a really good friend. And, one of my accountability brothers, I tell him the truth and he always don't want to hear it, but, he's just like, he responds like the Lord does.
Right.
He don't shun me away. He don't condemn me. He don't guilt me. He loves me, and so that's, yeah, I love Eddie. He's a good dude.
Yeah.
I'm
So
glad he's meeting you guys through, so, networking's where it's at, I think.
it is.
Yeah.
It is. And we've met so many people through him and through others who've been on here, but
What's crazy is if you really break it all down, this all stemmed from Mark Frisbee.
well, and
Tim Davis. Tim Davis. It all stemmed from Tim Davis. That's what it was.
Huh.
Oh, yeah, you got the X out of that.
That's cool.
It is just one thing after another, Matt. We just had something just pop up on the screen. Anyway, yeah. So it all started,
All stemmed from Tim
Tim
Davis.
Davis.
Introduced us to Mark. We met Eddie when we went to go to Mark's.
Yeah.
And now we're
Yes.
talking to you.
Yeah. But Eddie has been a really good friend to me. And, I was just interested in knowing how you guys met. I've never heard that story before. So you were talking about the Refuge Church, which we attended with Eddie, the location that he goes to now, and really enjoyed that. So tell us a little bit about your story, Matt, and where it all began and how you became a Christian.
Okay. So, I haven't told my story. On my channels and different social media platforms, I haven't really went through the whole spiel. I reference a few things. I reference God. I give him all the glory,
Right.
but I haven't actually told it. I have a little bit of a darker past. But like the word says in Revelations 12:11, they triumphed over him, meaning Satan, by the blood of the Lamb and the word of their testimony. So I feel it's a privilege for you to call me on here and for, to ask about my shop and all these fun things. But, I think, my testimony is, it's a little bit of a mess. As a child, my father, I want to show honor where it's due. They went through a divorce. I have a little sister. So I was born in 1982. I'm 43 now. And, I have a little sister that's 7 years younger than me. And when my parents split, my mother tried to keep the house that they built, and they actually built it themselves. And she tried to keep it but couldn't. We were living in a middle class neighborhood. Dad did pretty well. He's always in the car industry, and before that, he built houses. So I kind of went from a middle class household to my grandmother's house that used to be pretty nice back in the 40s, but it was more in the poverty-stricken area of Concord. So when we moved there, I think that's where, abandonment, rejection, I think that's where the enemy lied to me, said I wasn't good enough. And some of that came from some word curses, things like that. That's pretty typical from children that come from divorced homes, that, now it's time for you to man up. You need to go out and help bring some money home so we can live. And I was out mowing grass and doing whatever I could, raking leaves just to come up with that $1.35. And that's how much lunch cost back then, $1.35. And it wasn't even for me. It was for my little sister. Mom was struggling. She made just over where she couldn't get, welfare. She couldn't get, government assistance. So, which was a weird thing because she didn't make a lot of money. But so that's where, things kind of got shifted off of me and onto my sister. And it was like, well, now we need to worry about her. And, so that's what we did. And so that's where I started messing around. I started skateboarding. I started hanging out in the streets a little bit. And so that was my introduction into the street and that lifestyle. The guys up the road were into drug dealing. I looked for men, I see it now. I didn't realize it then, obviously, but I was looking for, someone to look up for, someone I can, somebody that can tell me I'm a man and show me how to be a man. I mean, there it is. So I looked up to the dope boys. I looked up to the guys with the flashy cars, with the money, with the girls, the women. They had their own houses. They were only 17 and they paid all their own bills. And so started going that direction. And 19 years old, got my first felony. I don't think there's much need to go through that, how I acquired that, but I acquired a possession of a firearm while on a restraining order, and there was a restraining order with the domestic thing with the female. And so at that point, at 19, so I bought my first QP. So my mama walked in on me, at living in her house in the back bedroom late night. She walked in because she wondered what I was doing. She heard things ruffling. I just got done cleaning my Colt 45, had it laid out. And I thought I was cool. I had it all laid out and all the gun cleaning kit. And then I had a QP of, marijuana there, and I was breaking it down into baggies and I was getting everything ready so that was when I first bought my first QP, and, that's a quarter pound or whatever. So and then so that escalated. So I was the pot guy, and, that was a real easy thing for a white guy to fall into. And, so that's where it was. And so at 19 years old, got my first felony, and it was around that. It was, people trying to rob me. I was trying to, get my money back. I ended up getting charges. And then because the DA seen through some of it, since I had multiple charges, they kind of went to the lesser one, was the, possession of a firearm while on a domestic restraining order, so that was the deal that they made. So at 19, I started at Volvo when I was 18 years old. So I was a, mechanic. I had that career looking forward. I always helped in circle track racing, around here, small time racing, little half mile stuff. So I felt like when I was 19, my career got killed because now I'm a felon. Now I'm labeled. And then I accepted some more lies that, I was never going to become anything. So 19 years old is when I went kind of full fledged into the dope game. And I thought, well, I'm going to make something of myself in this. And I know it sounds weird, but I wanted to be that honest guy that where you get what you pay for. And I was real big about loyalty, real big about, punctuality. And so it made me pretty successful in that game. And so, but then that kind of grew after that. So I got into selling other things, and, we don't have to go through all that, but so 19 is where I went all in. And into Satan's world, into girls, fast money, fast girls, fast cars, that whole gig. 26 years old came around. I was doing pretty good, I thought, for the most part. I hooked up with some big dealers, the guys that were, across the border were supplying us. I had a big team. And at that point, I did get back into racing because my dad knew some people, and he knew some guys that worked in racing that were, over at Haas Racing. So I got in at Haas. I'm making good money every week. I'm making money on the side. I lived at the golf course. I was you could see the par 5 from the front window. We were racing UARA. I wasn't the driver, but, we had a race car. And I'm not giving any glory. I just want to give you context to where it was at 26. Exactly. I thought I made it. I thought that I had everything that every man wants. I had this girl at home. I was raising a little girl that wasn't mine. but she was, 4 years old at that point, or 3 years old. And then I also had a girlfriend, in an apartment and I paid all the bills there too. She was 19 at the time. And so I had a lake place, and it was kind of at the poor man lake around here. It wasn't like the rich man lake, but I had a little lake place. I had boats, jet skis, motorcycles, the whole gig. I was miserable, absolutely miserable inside and running myself ragged. And then also I acquired an addiction to pain pills at that point. And then obviously, the pot, drinking, all that fun stuff. But the pain pills really grabbed a hold of me where I couldn't break free. It was a daily addiction. It was a necessity. It was just like eating, just like drinking water. You had to have it to maintain, to keep this persona and to keep this lifestyle moving forward. So that was the height. I would say the height of that. 27, the addiction called up. Me and the girl cheating on and all that fun stuff, all that fell apart. I moved out of that house, was in another house. And so anyway, a domestic dispute kind of brought in the police department, and they already kind of knew about me, and I was kind of flaunting it, and then they knew it, but they never could catch me red-handed. Well, they took that opportunity with the domestic thing to catch me. So when I was 27, I got, charged with 5 different felonies. Possession of a firearm by a felon, intent to sell, deliver, maintain a dwelling, and manufacturing of marijuana, and then that same slew of stuff for shrooms. And then, I said the possession of a firearm, and then there was also the domestic charge. And then how the thing kind of got brought on to me is they kind of trumped it up to kidnapping, and it wasn't first degree, it was second degree. And basically that just means if you stand in the doorway and say you can't leave, it's technically second degree Anyway, Concord Police Department knew what they were doing. They were catching someone that was doing something wrong, and they did it by any means necessary, basically, without breaking the law too much. And so 27 got called up, went to jail. I had a little money, put up at the time, just a little bit, and I had some possessions. And so, ended up making bond on that. And then I was paying my lawyer, and I was doing anything and everything I could do to pay that payment, because I had to give him $1,000 a week, just trying to keep. And they kept on telling me, the feds might pick you up. I said, well, let's don't do that, because I was working out a deal. I was going to get the girl to come and get all the people that wrote statements and change them, and had a plan. Well, feds picked me up. There ain't no bond. There ain't but one way, and that's you telling people. And so I thought real gangsters didn't do that. Real G's didn't do that. Real men didn't do that. Later on in the story, you come to find out that everybody rats. And so that's why it's not worth it at all. But anyway, at that point, I thought it did. So I went to Alamance County. I was up there, waiting on my whatever they were going to do. So I went to my arraignment, and I think I might have been in jail maybe a month or two. And that's the first time I ever spent that kind of stint in a 24-hour lockdown. And so, I was coming apart. I already went through the withdrawals, of cigarettes and alcohol and marijuana and the pain pills. And I was kind of off, but I went to my arraignment, and that's where they present you with how much time that they want to give you. And I don't even remember what them people were talking about, but I remember them talking in 120 months for this, 70 months for this, 30. It blew my mind.
Yeah.
I went back, I stumbled back to my holding cell that were waiting for transportation. It was just me in the cell. And there was a little Bible, and they don't even put them in jails no more. It's so sad. That little Bible sitting over in that corner. Whew. And so I went over there, and I picked up that Bible, and I said, man, Lord, if you're the guy that I hear my aunt talking about, that I heard my grandmother talking about, that I heard my mom talk about here and there, if you are who you say you are, man, I'm not trying to get out of it. I just need the truth to come out. Like I'll admit I'm a wretched, terrible person, but I didn't kidnap nobody. I didn't hold anybody against their will. Me and that girl did fight, but we made up. When they actually kicked the door in, we were all in the bed together. And so, sleeping, and so picked up that Bible, asked God, if you really are who you are, I just need the truth to come out. I fanned that Bible open, and when it flipped open, it went to Psalm 94:15. For justice, this is the NET, but for justice will prevail, and all the morally upright will be vindicated. Wrecked me. That's the day I met Jesus.
Wow.
That's the day that he stood in front of me and accepted me as I am. And he wasn't giving me a free pass. But what he ended up doing is that my rest of my time, I spent another 9 months in county. And this is county. This is not no prison. This is in county, in 24-hour lockdown, reading the Bible and just me and the Lord. And I just kept chasing him. I did the little, they have all these things that you mail in, and you do all these correspondent thing, and you pass all these. Anyway, did everything I could trying to chase the Lord, trying to learn about him. When I went to court finally, the DA said that he didn't recognize me. And I still look the same. I might look a little sober, but I still look the same. And he said that whole time while I've been in county, they've been doing a full investigation. And they wanted to get to the truth of it. They done pulled everybody. So they ended up saying that the drugs wasn't significant enough, because I only got caught with a quarterback of each. They said the drugs wasn't significant enough for the feds. The shrooms wasn't, but and they found out the kidnapping was a total lie. So they said, we're going to charge you with firearm by a felon. We're going to give you 17 months. You've already did 11. So basically I got to go to Butner, North Carolina, which is a military prison, which is still a top tier prison. And I think they call it I think it's a medium high, because it's not a penitentiary. That's the highest. It's the one right beneath it. But when I got there, it was like going to Carowinds, because I ain't been in sunlight in 11 months. I remember rolling around in the grass out there just thinking I was free as you could be. Well, I was such a short timer, is what they called it, a short timer, that they didn't give me a job. So in the morning, I would go out on the yard and I would run. And I learned to play guitar, and I played volleyball, and so it's kind of like it was just amazing. So I know that sounds crazy, but it was compared to the 11 months before.
Right.
And so I kept chasing the Lord. I kept reading, but you couldn't go to church there, because that's where all the, how you want to say it, but the child, the child offenders, that's where they kind of have a refuge where they hide at. And they might find the Lord. Hey, I'm not throwing no shade, but that's not where I could go hang out for sure.
Right.
When you go into a situation like that, into a federal prison, you don't realize you're in a gang, but you get put in one. And it's usually dictated by the color of your skin. So I was in the independent white boys. We were guys that studied our Bible, but we didn't know how to do community. We didn't know how to worship. The only thing we do is talk some junk and work out together, But so that was my stint through that. And so when I came home, make sure I'm on track here. So when I came home, I went back to work, doing my thing again. Had my toolbox still. So, I just went back to doing mechanic work again and just trying to move through. I ended up backsliding a little bit after that, getting hooked up with the wrong females. And since I had good street credit, I didn't tell on anybody, and people could check that and they know it. There's certain codes in your paperwork. They can see it. I started dibble dabbling. I didn't have any money. It's kind of starting to dibble dabble again. People were trying to give me things so I could, get on my feet, that kind of stuff. And, I was back into it, not real far, but far enough.
Yeah.
And God came to me, and I'll never forget it. He told me, I love you enough to send you back. I got a great prison ministry worked out for you. Man, I ran to the church. I went to a couple churches. I asked him, what do you want me to do? He said, go to church. So I went and looked at a couple churches, but when I walked into the refuge in Kannapolis, North Carolina, I knew I was at home. And it was just something welcoming about it. So I just went back in, and then the Lord started reminding me, don't you remember this? Don't you remember where I met you? Don't you remember this? And I was almost at the point where Satan was convincing me that was just jailhouse religion, or that was just because you were in your lowest point, and it wasn't all that crap. Well, it was real. The Lord started speaking to me again. He started convicting me of my sin again. I started getting out of relationships with girls. I started getting away from different things I was involved in, sobering up, getting right again. And, that was, I'm 43 now. I didn't even write down the dates on that, or how old I was, but it had to have been 10 years ago or more, or 8 years ago, something like that. So I fell into the refuge, And I fell in the church, started serving, volunteering. Some older men took me in, and they're still my spiritual fathers, and started just speaking life into me. My father came back around. We started rekindling, started doing things together again.
That's
Because there was
awesome.
times in there when I came home, he was around, and then I started messing up, and he started backing up again because my father never dibble dabbled at all. He was
Yeah.
pretty straight laced his whole life. Man, never smoked cigarettes. So
It's this guy right
that's
here.
yeah. So that's where man, the Lord really started discipling me, and men started discipling me. And so I stayed there at the refuge. I stepped into leadership. I was over the facilities team. I had 16 volunteers or 18 volunteers, and I was learning to do all these things. And then here recently, in the last 2 years, the Lord, and another pastor from the refuge. Now we're still connected. We ain't saying nothing bad about the refuge, but
Yeah.
we moved, we went to Salisbury and planted a church. So I've been a part of my first church plant, and then now I
Awesome.
get to play with
Right.
production stuff and set up. And, man, the Lord's, he's just continuing to work on me. He's continued to, man, he, he just don't give up.
Right.
He's never gave up on me. He's never said I went too far. He's never said that I've messed up too much. His arms are wide open. And for anybody that's watching this, man, his arms are wide open right now. The Bible says there's nothing that you can do to separate from the love of God. And what's so good about the Father is that he is unconditionally, madly in love with us, but he loves us enough not to leave us where we're at. So it's not a free pass.
Right.
It's not like you can just go sin and go back and just fall back into grace. The Lord's he's a lion, and we got to see him as a lion. Yeah, he's soft, and you can pet him, and he's sweet, and he'll cuddle, but he can bite your head off like that.
Right.
He is a lion. And so the fear of the Lord is something that we got to have. And that's, and then keeping his commandments and his statutes and his ordinances, his testimony. So it's not saying it's a free pass, but I just want you to know that the Father's love is unconditional. If he can reach down into my pit, into the mess that I made, and fix the abandonment issues, rekindle relationships with my family members, help me to forgive police departments, to forgive, different females, different things in my past, to undo those things and not believe what my paperwork says. And that's when at the beginning I said, I haven't told my story. That paperwork, man, it's hard to get over it, but the paperwork's not what the Father says about me.
Yeah.
The paperwork, yeah, the world might go after it and they might check it or whatever, but the Father says I'm loved. He says I'm accepted.
Right.
He said I'm grafted into the true bloodline of Jesus Christ. I'm seated with him, through him on the right-hand side of the Father. So I've got to act like a son, act like I'm a co-heir, and not act it, be it, walk it.
Right.
And so I'm not saying I'm sin-free. Every day I wake up and make that decision that I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do that. Something I just have an epiphany. Y'all probably already got this, but to be a disciple is to have disciplines.
Yeah.
Is to be disciplined in areas of your life. And so at this point, I'm blown away how the Lord has, how he's brought me out of all the things and all the messed up things that I've done. And then when I finally surrendered to him and said, Lord, what do you want me to do? Here I am, I don't have this, I don't have that. And, I just got the skill you give me. Just let me do it. And in the last year, the doors have really swung open to where, now I'm in Ephesians 3:20. I can't even understand what he's doing and what he's going to do. Jeremiah 29:11 says, for I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you, plans to not harm you, plans to give you hope and a future.
Yep.
He ain't playing.
Right.
He is completely serious about that. And so I just want to be encouragement to anybody that's watching this, to you guys. You ain't done too much. You
Right.
ain't went too far. His arms are still open, and he still has plans for you. So I just, it's a privilege to come on here and just, tell my story and what I've been through, my testimony. And I pray that that it touches your heart, that it touches that person that you judge, and that you're like, hey, he's a old dirty, he's an old smoker or whatever, I want to just tell you one little thing that tripped me up when I was first in my walk in Christ. Somebody came to me and said, I was out in the parking lot smoking cigarettes before church. We're in the church parking lot. And he said, Holy Ghost don't really want to be around those cigarettes. He don't like that smoke. That kind of tripped me up for a while. 'Cause I was still smoking. I couldn't beat it. I had other addictions that were hidden. They ain't know about that.
Yeah.
It tripped me up for a little while. I went down to a men's event called thequestlife.com. And it's just, you spend a week with the Lord. And there's some structure to it, but basically it's you and Jesus, or the Father. So that's what I needed. I needed to know him as the Father,
right,
as Abba. The Lord told me that he said, I've run to your smoke. Absolutely run to it. And so, man, anybody out there that thinks that they've done too much, don't let that stop you. He's running towards you, and come to him as you are. You don't,
exactly.
You don't get clean before you get in the shower.
That's right.
You get in the shower and then you get clean.
Mm-hmm.
So just let the Lord do what he does. And I just want to be encouraged to that. And I hope that my testimony can do that.
Right.
And,
well, I know it will. I know it will. That was powerful.
Yes.
I enjoyed listening to that. That was really good. And that message you had at the end where no one's too far gone, that's the message that was preached when my wife got saved. So that message right there can help a lot of people.
Well, the thing about it is right now you've went all in with Christ, and he is blessing you. He's got you in a position to where you're prospering again. You're working a job that you love, and you're doing what you love. And,
I mean, your location's awesome.
Yeah.
That's sick. Like, when you were explaining where you're at, that's so cool.
And you're able to help other people, and the scripture we read at the beginning of the podcast was Ephesians 6:12. For we do not wrestle with flesh and blood, but against rulers and against authorities, against cosmic powers that present darkness, against the spiritual forces of evil in heavenly places. And I know that when we met at Eddie's house, we talked a little bit about this scripture, because we were talking about how there's a spiritual battle going on. And just like you saying right there, I still sin and I still have to work at this, and so many men right now that I've been talking to recently have been dealing with spiritual battles. And it's a constant. It's like the devil tries to work in our minds. He tries to work in our minds, and he tries to tear us down. He tries to get our focus off of the Lord and onto other things. And it's so easy to do. There's a spiritual battle constantly going on in our heads. And to know that, like you're saying, and we know that we're never too far gone. Just because you slip up, because of this spiritual battle you're fighting, and you slip up, doesn't mean God's leaving you. He's still right there with you.
So if the viewers watching this have listened to our Thanksgiving episode, I talk a little bit about how this has been the most difficult year of my entire life. And spiritually, financially, just in every aspect of my life, it has been the hardest I've had. Throughout the entire spiritual issues that I've had this entire year, I have continued to pray every single day. I'm telling you right now, that prayer helps a lot. I pray every morning on my way to work, every single day. Pray for closeness to God. Even if I'm not trying to do it myself, I'm still praying for it every single day. And that definitely helps. So when you slip up and you're going through this spiritual battle and you're fighting, pray every single day, because that could be your only line of defense.
Yeah, God ain't leaving you because you trip.
No, for sure. Definitely not.
And just
I've screwed up this year. I've kind of just let myself walk away. Not really walk away, but I've not put in the time and the effort that at all times like I needed to.
Right.
I've been good at some points, and then I've slowed down, and then been good at other points. But God doesn't just be like, oh, he's not giving me attention right now, let me walk away.
Right.
That's not how that works.
Exactly.
God's going to be there when you decide to pick your Bible back up and read it again.
Right. And Matt, your testimony is similar to a lot of the guys that have been on my wife's podcast, My Story, His Glory. It's our church has a lot of guys who found the Lord in prison or in jail, one or the other. And there's a lot of guys that have come from that and have a great walk with God now. And yeah, they battle demons just like we all do, but they have a great walk with God and they're leaning on Him and they're starting to serve in the church and different things. And it's awesome to see. And I just praise God that He pulled you off the streets and He brought you into a place where now you can serve Him in a church, you can minister to others, you can help others, and you're doing that right there at your shop too.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
So, we're going to get into, I hate to even change direction here.
Yeah.
This has been good, but we got to change direction. So we're going to get into some other stuff here.
Yeah. Are we going into our gone in 60 seconds here?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So this is what we always do. Well, we try to remember to always do. We forget sometimes, but try to always do this to close out the podcast with our guests. And it's no different for you. So what we do is we got this thing called Gone in 60 Seconds. We're not actually going to time you. I think we timed one person.
We did, just to see what happened.
Yeah, and I think he got him done in 30, I think.
Yeah,
so
like 30 seconds.
We're not going to time you.
Oh, no.
But it's called Gone in 60 Seconds. You can't explain your answer. You don't get none of that. We're going to ask you a question. You answer it, and we move on. That's it. It's rapid fire questioning, and
And some of this is to get to know you better. Some of it's just stupid. So.
Yeah, but you can't explain yourself, so that's the hard part. We've had some guys that want to explain. I'm like, nope, you gotta keep going. Keep going.
All right, now we probably know the answer to this, but Zach's going to kick it off with number one.
All right. So with the Foxbody platform, Fairmont or Mustang?
Fairmont.
What is your favorite Foxbody?
Yeah, Fairmont.
Okay.
Favorite car brand?
Ford. Yeah.
Good choice.
Favorite worship song?
Whew. Dang. Wow. That's tough. Josh Baldwin, Fresh Fire.
All right.
Favorite parts store?
Like regular
like
consumer
O'Reilly's,
or
AutoZone.
specialty.
Like
O'Reilly's. Yeah, I'm O'Reilly's fan.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Dang, that's another good answer.
Yeah. All right, so I'm going to ask you this one because I know you like your cigars. What's your favorite cigar?
Drew Estate Tabac Negro. Yeah.
All right. That was pretty good.
That was
pretty
good.
Now, I'm a little surprised about your favorite car brand because one thing we didn't talk about earlier, and I thought this was going to be your favorite car brand, but you are a Volvo guy too.
Yes, I am. Yeah, I am.
That's very interesting. I've never walked up to someone and then be like, "Yeah, I'm a Volvo guy." I've never heard that before.
Yeah, they all live in Seattle.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay.
Well, but you did mention in your testimony your first automotive job was in a Volvo dealership, so that kind of got you into the Volvos a little bit.
Yes, sir. So yeah, so when I was a kid, when I remember my parents when they were still together, Dad had a sea of Volvos in the driveway. He had old 1800s and 240s, and my mother, when she would pick me up from school in elementary school, she drove a 1980, I think it was a 1980 or 82, 83 240 turbo wagon, 5-speed. That was silver, black tinted windows, and it had the BBS mesh.
Nice.
Black with
my gosh.
Oh man, all the kids were like, "That's your mom,"
man.
and that's what my dad set her up in, and that was back in the early '90s. So the car wasn't old at that point.
Yeah.
Well, too old, And so that's why I went after Volvos, and I went after Volvos to chase his attention.
Yeah.
So we'd have something to talk about, So that's why I went the Volvo direction. And then end up, playing with Volvos. And that was way before Fast and Furious. The Volvos had a lot of turbo cars. They put turbos on about everything, just like Saab did. So
well, the funny thing to me about the Volvos is as a kid, I thought Volvos were hideous. They were just the ugliest car.
I don't know, man. The
And
240,
now-
I always thought the 240s were cool.
Well, now when I look at them, the sedans, yeah, but the wagons, I love the wagons.
Oh, the wagons are
The
sick.
wagons, I'm just like, man, those make the coolest.
People make those 240s into drift cars.
Yeah.
Pretty cool. Pretty cool.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Like those.
Oh yeah.
You don't see very many two-door ones around either. I mean,
I'm gonna be honest, I haven't seen a 240 in a long time.
yeah. Well, I seen a wagon just the other day.
Did you really?
Yeah.
I haven't seen one. But then again, my drive to work, I see maybe 15 cars the entire drive. So
My drive to work can be 10 hours a day sometimes.
yeah, mine's 15 minutes consistently.
Yeah. So,
Good.
I just thought that was interesting. The whole, I thought maybe you were going to say Volvo, your favorite car brand, but
Well, you picked the right choice. Ford is the right choice. Everybody knows that.
Everybody knows it.
We get too many guys on here that are Chevy guys. We need more guys like you, Ford
Right.
guys.
Yeah. So, Matt, it's been awesome having you on. Why don't you shout out your socials and let everybody know where they can find you at?
Okay, so we're on all the social platforms. Not all of them. We're not on TikTok anymore, but Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. It is Greasy Corner Garage NC. You can just type in Greasy Corner Garage and you can find us. GreasyCornerGarageNC.com is the website, and that it's attached to Shopify. So we got a full line of apparel. Go check it out. And man, I really appreciate everyone that's been viewing and y'all having me on here. Thank you so much for letting me share my testimony. I really appreciate it. I pray that the Lord does something really powerful with it.
Yeah, I believe he will, just
I
like
think he
Zach
will.
said a while ago. Yeah.
Thank you, Will. That was a powerful testimony.
Yeah. Yeah, it's awesome to have been able to have you on, and I know it's kind of, for me, it's been a long time coming, because I'm not going to lie, I've had you on my whiteboard for like a year, and that's not a lie, because I was looking at,
To preface this, he's a very organized guy, so when he has something in his mind, he'll write it down on his whiteboard.
yeah,
And so he usually has a list of people he wants to bring on. He has a whole calendar with every day the exact thing that's going to happen with the podcast every single day. I'm not organized like that.
somebody's got to be.
Yeah, somebody's got to be. I don't know. I just show up. You tell me what we're doing.
But it's really sad, but it really has been. You've been on my whiteboard for an entire year, so as of January. So it's so awesome that we finally got you on and got connected. And hey, we're praying for you and your ministry and
please.
what you're doing at church. And you pray for us, and because we're all in this together,
Absolutely.
trying to spread the word and see as many people go to heaven with us as we can. Right?
Yep. We want it crowded.
Right.
Yes, sir.
Exactly.
Be crowded up there.
So, guys.
Crowded. Yeah.
If you have not donated to our Bible Fund and you'd like to do that, go to faithfamilycars.com and hit that donation tab, and you'll be able to donate whatever amount you want.
If you haven't heard us talk about it before, every car show we go to, we're going to set Bibles out that will be given out for free. We did it at Ford Fest. If you watch our Ford Fest video, we gave out 75 Bibles.
Yeah.
And there was 100 bracelets that our buddy John brought, and all of those were gone before the Bibles were gone. They all said, like, Jesus loves you and stuff like that. So people are hungry.
People are hungry.
And they want the Word of God.
Yeah, they are.
And if we can provide it, and you guys can help us provide it, that would be amazing.
Yep. So go check that out. Check out our merch. Get you a hoodie. We still got a few left, so.
Yep, stock is low, though.
Yeah,
so
it's very low.
pick
So
'em up.
grab you a hoodie. And Zach, they can find us everywhere else too, right?
You can find us on every social media platform at Faith Family Cars. And that's all I got to say about that.
All right.
You know where we're at.
So, guys, we love y'all. We appreciate you. And we'll see you on the next one.